Tonight, Good Samaritans step up to turn an abused teen's suffering into triumph. The public share their thoughts on a disturbing viral video, and politicians weigh in on the topic of the courthouse relocation. All this and more coming up in tonight's broadcast.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovely St. Amy Joseph.
It is Tuesday, the 26th of November 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News on Flow Channel 117. The broadcast is also being simulcast on Kiss FM Radio, on our website CaribbeanHotTV.com, and our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm Rochelle Gonzalez, standing in for Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Both good and bad karma have been in effect for an abusive adult female and her young victim in a now viral video which surfaced on social media recently. The woman is seen beating on the young girl, accusing her of stealing a pair of shoes and wearing them to school. In a twist of fate, the videos have led to an outpour of donations to the victim, whilst the abuser has been getting her fair share of social justice. Karma has seemingly been having a field day with the two individuals seen in a disturbing viral video showing a schoolgirl being physically and verbally abused by a relative. The hard-to-watch video surfaced days ago and sees an adult female whipping at a defenseless teenager whilst accusing her of stealing her shoes to wear them to school. Whilst this goes on, the teenager stands still, crying out only once, whilst her abuser repeatedly whips her with the stick, hurls obscenities directly to her face, and at one point even choking her and threatening to do more bodily harm. The videos stirred up mass condemnation of the female's actions. However, it led a few Good Samaritans to jump into immediate action by locating the teenager and gifting her with new pairs of shoes. Michael Flood was one such individual.
I did not do that for all the attention that is being given now. I did it out of the goodness of my heart. It so happened I went to a business place to do some business yesterday, and whilst waiting I was flipping through social media and I saw that video of a child being brutally beaten. So I immediately posted, and what I realized it was for a shoe, because she wanted to go to school and she didn't have a pair of shoes. So I immediately posted on that same video that if anybody knows of her or who she is, have her contact me, and I left my number. And while saying that, the same people at the store where I was, they were saying that child was just there earlier with her mother because she could not have gone to school yesterday again because she did not have a school shoe. So I asked them to contact her and have them come there to me, okay? Which they did. The mother came. When they came, I asked the mother whether it's okay that I buy the child a pair of school shoes so that she could go to school. The mother said yes, and she started crying.
The owner of South Shoe Shop, Matthew Youssef, also stepped up to the plate to make a donation, turning the victim's trial into triumph.
Initially, boy, I thought it was football the girl was dealing with. Then she told me, no, she wants her school shoe. I said, well, all right, that's no problem. I had one of my girls' sister to pick out her shoe, right? And not knowing what the situation was, like I say, and it's only after I gave her the shoe and she was about to leave that, what's his name, Michael Flood, he came in and told me, so I want you to take out a picture with this young lady, so and so. Still not knowing what the situation was, you know. So we took out the picture and, they left. And it's later on, somebody called me and said, South, I see you on Facebook. I said, what that's all about? He said, take a look at it and you'll see. And then I realized that who this young lady was. And that when they showed me the picture of the girl being abused by her aunt, I said, well, this is criminal, man. I said, they should lock up this woman. So, a lot of people kept calling me afterwards and said, Saul, boy, you did the right thing, so and so. I said, well, I only did what I felt I had to do, and that was it.
As for the abuser, she has become the face of hatred and the subject of ridicule on social media. Angry social media users say they are hoping to make an example out of the said relative to send a message that this sort of behavior will no longer be tolerated in society. Currently, it is unclear whether legal action will be taken against the aggressor. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez. While social media has been having a field day delivering social justice to an adult female seen mercilessly abusing a young girl whom she accused of stealing her shoes and wearing them to school, Our team at Hot 7 took to the streets to hear what members of the public thought of the viral videos. Here's what they had to say.
Well, I think in everything we must balance our penalties fairly and not use excessive force. I didn't see the video from what I'm hearing that excessive force was used and it amounted to physical abuse. But I must talk about the part of the child. A child who doesn't have a shoe to borrow a shoe to school, that means she was willing to do something good and she should be encouraged and not discouraged. And I applaud the efforts of those who came to her assistance, who did the shoes to her. But to know that today there are children who have shoes and refuse to go to school, children who have shoes and they get trouble in school, they drop out. And this one, she didn't have shoes, but she was determined. She knew the circumstances make her who she is and say, well, I'm staying home. But she was determined to overcome her circumstances and go to school. And I applaud her, and all the children in St. Lucia should take an example of that. And I pray that parents, guardians, please, you can correct your child, but not in anger and rage and not be excessive because you cause destruction and not anything good.
No shoes, then that not giving you no right to go and beat the girl just because she don't have shoes. It's supposed to help you to buy the shoes for her. I would thank Sal because they do a good deed for little girl.
I do feel that she should be punished for the way she reacted because, was it her niece? Yes. Her niece borrowed her shoes. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, at the end of the day, you go to a mother, you ask her to make it happen again. You don't embarrass her like that.
I felt she could have done it in a better way, but in my opinion, it was abuse to a child.
I took court for that because she's not supposed to beat up a child, so we're supposed to take good care of children.
To be honest, some people react certain ways when they are frustrated or according to what is wrong with them at the moment, in the state of mind they are in at the moment, they react in a certain form. Sometimes they react in that form and they still regretted what they did, because life is expectation. So sometimes we have to practice a little tolerance with some parents, because some parents, according to the stress of society that's on their back, and when they already achieve a little thing and they see it is being damaged or brutalized, certain things happen to them mentally and they react. Sometimes they even regret what they did, but life is expectation, so we must practice a little love to our sister too, because we never know what is the cause of she actually doing that.
I think that the auntie should be punished because, first of all, that's very embarrassing to publicly shame a child like that in front of everybody. Like, you don't know how it could affect the child psychologically.
Following the walk by parents, teachers and students of the Ave Maria Girls' School, members of parliament from both sides have weighed in on the discussion for the relocation of the Castries Magistrates Court. Minister for Economic Development Guy Joseph is of the opinion that the ruckus raised may be politically motivated. However, leader of the opposition Philip J. Pierre fires back, saying the current government should cease from hiding behind the veil of calling every issue raised a political agenda. More in this report.
The conversation for relocation efforts of the Castries Magistrates Courthouse along Coral Street has reached the lips of parliamentary representatives. Minister for Economic Development Guy Joseph has weighed in on the conversation, questioning the motives behind the outcry of teachers, parents and students who on Monday, 25th November, executed a walk from the Ave Maria Infant School to the Ministry of Education in an effort to gain audience with Ministry of Education officials.
Remember, the same people who are crying foul today were the ones who opposed the relocation of the courthouse. We must not forget what happens in this country, because when it is politically expedient for some people, we should do it. And when it is not, we should not do it. When the Prime Minister made the pronouncement that we need to relocate the courthouse and we need to do this. So if a courthouse is a place of bomb scares, are you telling me that the other people who work in proximity to the courthouse are of less value? Are their lives less valuable? Don't we all walk by the courthouses? Where is the cathedral located? Where was the cathedral located in relation to the courthouse for so many years? Did I hear anybody call for the removal of the courthouse because it's too close to the cathedral? What about when you have a funeral there and you have a couple thousand people there? Isn't that a target?
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition Philip J. Pierre says the current government continues to hide behind the excuse of political mischief once members of society demand redress in any given situation.
Everything that happens in the country is deemed by the Electoral Party as political because they are in government. Once they're in government, everything else is political. When they were in opposition, it was not political. The teachers at the African Infant School, they have a right to stand up for what they think is right. This government marched for $6.80 on gasoline. They said it was not political. This nonsense about it happening is political. It's a scapegoat. The government is failing. The government is destroying buildings that cost millions of dollars for political purposes, and they are allowing simple things to happen. Simple things are not happening at the schools. So this nonsense about political is absolute nonsense. It's a scapegoat by a failing government, a government that is under pressure, a government that has seen elections are very near. They have not delivered anything. I've asked them to show me one project that they've delivered, a government that has not removed VAT. A government has not removed that. That is the pressure. The government is under pressure, so they're looking for all excuses, they and their friends.
On the other hand, Minister Guy Joseph compares St. Lucia's judicial system to that of regional and international standards and says an isolated courthouse is unheard of.
Everywhere in the world, where are courthouses in isolation to civilization and where people live and where people congregate and what happens? The courthouse was next to the parliament. So could it be that nothing should be in proximity to the parliament? Are we real about what we are asking and what we are saying? Then I believe that we need to go and if that is the approach, then the courthouse needs to be built somewhere that is in total isolation, and there should be an area that is quarantined where there should be no development.
Upon leaving the parliamentary building, attempts to gain further insight into the matter of relocating the courthouse from former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony proved unsuccessful. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Anchorage police have released a statement reporting that the missing dancehall artist Cherie has been found safe and sound. The 29-year-old, whose real name is Cherie Stout, was reported missing in Alaska, United States, and the Anchorage police were seeking the help of the public to locate her. Police were especially concerned as Stout reportedly suffers from mental health issues and was unfamiliar with the Anchorage area. Cherie was born in St. Lucia of Jamaican heritage and is best known for her Bebe and Gates of Heaven collaborations with Jamaican dancehall artist Vybz Kartel. Don't get left off the boat. The expected arrival for the decriminalization and legalization of cannabis is seemingly round the corner. Minister for Industry Bradley Felix says options for cannabis go beyond medical usage, and interested parties should be doing their research to find creative and lucrative avenues for business development amidst talk of regime change. The details in this report.
The cannabis movement may be knocking on St. Lucia's doors, and the question of whether or not the island is ready remains a matter of debate. However, Minister for Commerce and Industry Bradley Felix says the plethora of options available for a rewarding cannabis industry should be looked into by interested parties. With countries like Canada and certain states in America legalizing the herb, Felix says interested parties need not look far for interesting business ideas in the cannabis industry.
We're very wary of what is happening around the world in terms of the various products that can be taken advantage of. And in fact, I was just advised next week, there's a very huge cannabis forum in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend, but it will actually have several booths indicating to people what can be done with the cannabis product. So people who are looking at that industry as in terms of a business should really follow what's happening internationally, because there are lots of opportunities, not just from the growing for medicinal use, but for a number of range of products.
The minister was probed as to the timeline outlined by chairman of the cannabis movement, Andre Pancho de Caris, who in a previous broadcast of the Hot 7 Nightly News outlined an early 2019 or possible 2020 legalization of the plant.
The timeline of the end of the year was given for them to have come back to the government with a draft proposal. That draft proposal will guide the decision by cabinet eventually. So I would not make an announcement on the rollout but would rather be advised based on the draft proposal that we received.
But can we sort of preempt it a bit and say whether it looks good for cannabis, pro-cannabis advocates?
I think so. I mean, the kind of feedback and the responses that we have been getting does suggest that the manner in which we saw cannabis is really archaic and outdated, and with all of the new medical evidence as it relates to the benefits, not just from a medicinal standpoint, but from industry standpoint, it does look good. But like I said, I would not give you a answer.
Thank you very much.
Seemingly all systems are go for the cannabis industry, with many stakeholders awaiting the green light of the medicinal plant in St. Lucia. On another note, expos and conferences in parts of the world where marijuana has been legalized have staged showcases centered around the production and distribution of grow lights, air conditioning systems, infused product makers, packaging, dispensaries, and edibles. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, a fallen police officer is remembered, ties between Cuba and St. Lucia are strengthened, and the Turf Club hosts its final open day.